what would happen if someone, well, obviously me, decided to pitch a 1-year-old yeast cake on top of fresh wort? Well, who knows? But yeah, that's why we are here. I do this crazy experiment so you don't have to. 1 year ago, I did a zombie dust clone, and that yeast I used, WLPOO2, actually made a starter that time, and that yeast has been sitting for 2 years in my yeast fridge. It has just been sitting there in a little bottle like this, harvested starter, and I made a starter, just a starter, no pre-starter or anything, and that worked great. That starter took a little bit longer to ferment out than usual, but when that beer was kegged, I saved the yeast cake. I just poured the yeast cake into a big mason jar and put it in the fridge up in the main house, and it had just been sitting there for a full year. And a few weeks back, I decided to another experiment which has nothing to do with this really. This was not meant to be with you. This was not planned at all. The full experiment, we're going to come to that in another episode, but this has to do with me have to brew a bright beer for another experiment. So simple grain bill, we can run through the recipe. I have some brew footage, so we can do the grain to glass video, which we all love. And I don't have like massive footage of the yeast cake, but I do have some pictures of it. So let's start off with some brewing footage, and then we'll come back and taste the beer, and we can run through the recipe. Getting cold outside. Okay, so here we have her. I've learned a new trick. That's a much better. There you can see the color, much better. So simple, dark, light. So most of the wort got into a bigger fermenter, but I needed something to compare that with. So I just grabbed a yeast cake, this yeast cake, the WLPOO2, which has been sitting there for a full year, and use that for the second vessel. And here we have the result. I did try the beer on top. I had not washed it or anything. Rinsed it, maybe it's a better word for, yeah, we can go into that topic in another video. It was just poured out of the vessel, and I saved it, so it has been sitting on with the beer on top for a full year. Of course, tasted the beer, and the beer tasted fine, so I thought, yeah, why not just try it. On top, the yeast was like dark, and I have been like baking with sourdough, and I have learned to just discard that looks a little bit nasty and use the rest or feed up that starter. But I didn't feed up anything. I just scraped off most of the darker yeast and pitched everything else. And this kicked off like straight away, was going nuts. Next morning, we're gonna go through the recipe also. The recipe is already up on my Patreon page in the big DrHans recipe book. It's super clean. I can't find anything off with it. Beer wise, it is on the bitter side. Lemon is citrusy, and it's really refreshing. As I said, it is like a little bit more bitter than a Pilsner, way more bitter than Pilsner really. This would be like a perfect summer beer. It's not summer now, but you can still enjoy it. But I'm maybe guessing for most people this would be like a little bit too bitter. But in the blasting sun, I'm guessing this would be awesome. So should we start saving our yeast cake for 1 year? No, but I brew more than anyone can handle, so I can do these crazy experiments and have a YouTube channel, and so I have an audience to share crazy stuff with. So that's why I can do this, and you don't have to, because I'm taking all the risks. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like and share and all of that. And if you have the means, I have patrons, channel membership, or just buy me a beer. A big shout out to all my supporters who makes this possible. Let's run through the recipe. The beer is called not black to pale ale. It doesn't make sense now, but it will make sense in an upcoming video. But yeah, if you patrons want to check that out. I was going for like a lower ABV beer. So original gravity was 1042. This fermented down to, where do we have it? 1013. So it gives a 3.8% beer, but it's not like water. I find that the lower ABV beer, when you make them at home, they doesn't taste like one you're buying. Got a comment on that from latest grain to glass video about the stout. Why would you want to make a 3.5% stout? Guinness is already watery at 4.2. Yes, yeah, it is. But mine wasn't watery. So do try to make like lower ABV beer at home. It isn't as simple, but yeah, you can make some good. I ain't gonna swear. So this was like a 60-liter batch. I used 10 kilos or 90% of Pilsner malt, looking at it, and I used 1.1 kilos of wheat malt. That's like 90% Pilsner and 10% wheat. So we're looking at like Kölsch grain bill. This is like too hoppy, bittery, scream in your face to be a Kölsch. This was a no-chill beer, so I just added 330 grams of sapphire hops at flame out and let it cool down until tomorrow. The recipe, when you're reading it of Brewfather, is this way. So let's skip back to the mashing. I did a 2-step, or would you call it a 3-step mash, as I had a mash out. I mashed out 63 Celsius for 60 minutes. Then I did a 71 Celsius for 20 minutes. Why? I think it's just trying new stuff out. It's easy to do on the brewing system. This was brewed on the Guten 70. Then I did a mash out at 76C at 10 minutes. This fermented out like in 3 days. I started at 20 degrees and I think it's on day, like after like 1.5 days, it was mostly fermented out, so I had to raise up the temperature to 25C. This was fermented with like 0.5 bars of pressure, so I had to carbonate this after fermentation. So if you are in a pinch, you could use an old yeast cake. This worked out great. I hope you found this video like helpful, amusing, annoying or something. If you did, don't forget to like smash the like button. If you didn't like this at all, don't forget to hit the dislike button twice. Subscribe, share, consider supporting the channel on Patreon channel membership, or just buy me a beer. All links down below. Cheers and thanks for watching. DrHans out.